Before reaching one of Spain's great Gothic cathedrals, we spent 3 quiet days crossing the Meseta, walking from Sahagún to León on our second Camino Francés. In September 2025, Bob and I set out with a simple goal: to slow things down, averaging just over 10 miles a day. In this video, we're walking the traditional stages from Sahagún to León through El Burgo Ranero and Mansilla de las Mulas. This stretch stays firmly on the Meseta, mostly flat with gentle rises and dips and long, open walking days. Day 24, Sahagún to El Burgo Ranero, a 17.7 kilometer walk across the Meseta. We left Sahagún walking straight through town and crossed the Puente Canto, the historic bridge over the Rio Silla that pilgrims have used for centuries. Not long after leaving town, we passed fields where corn stalks were left standing upright to dry, with the ears still attached, a traditional post-harvest sight in this part of Spain. Today's crops included sunflowers, corn, and wheat. This stretch of the Camino is also lined with Spanish plane trees, forming long, straight corridors of shade across the open Meseta. Just outside Bercianos del Real Camino, we walked past the Ermita de la Virgen Perales, a small rural hermitage set alongside the Camino in the fields. We walked through Bercianos del Real Camino. It was quiet too. As we continued on, we began seeing fields of sugar beets, a common crop across this part of León. We entered El Burgo Ranero by passing under the highway and quickly found our hotel, part of a well-signed truck stop just off the freeway. We weren't quite sure what to expect, but it worked out surprisingly well. We weren't the only pilgrims staying there, and they offered a menu del dia that drew plenty of locals. And best of all, being a truck stop, coffee was available first thing in the morning. Day 25, El Burgo Ranero to Mansilla de las Mulas, an 18.8 kilometer walk. We are still on the Meseta. We left before sunrise again after breakfast at the truck stop. It's probably sounding like we're starting really early every day, but at this time of year in Spain, sunrise is after 8 a.m. and getting later each day. El Burgo Ranero brought back good memories from our last Camino, including a small amount of kindness that stayed with us. On that walk, a friendly shopkeeper insisted we wait out a lightning storm inside her tiny tienda. She even offered to have her husband drive us to our albergue. We stayed put, but her thoughtfulness left a lasting impression. We walked through the quiet town, and before long we were back in open country, with Spanish plane trees lining the Camino once again. About halfway to Reliegos, we passed a small airport, and just beyond it, a pilgrim rest area. Perfect timing for a short break. We passed Santas Martas, also known as Santa Maria del Camino. It's a traditional pilgrim town with albergues and services, but it sits slightly off the main Camino route here, so we stayed on the direct path. We were especially looking forward to Reliegos. We had stayed here in 2023 and remembered a lively evening with other pilgrims at the infamous Café Bar Elvis. Entering town, we passed the line of bodegas and went looking for coffee. It was Sunday morning, so everything was closed except a small market, which thankfully did have coffee. Café Bar Elvis was also closed, as expected. And fun fact, it was one of the filming locations from the way. Before leaving town, we walked to see the plaque commemorating the 1947 meteorite fall, a stony meteorite weighing about 17 kilograms or 37 pounds, roughly the size of a football before it broke apart. Reliegos is also known for its locally grown tomatoes, a small but proud agricultural tradition here in León. The town sign even features a tomato, and during our visit, it had been crochet-bombed with colorful granny squares. On the way out of town, this mural brings together Reliegos' agricultural roots, everyday life, and a nod to the meteorite fall, all set alongside Camino imagery. From Reliegos, it's another 5.9 kilometers, about 3.5 miles, to Mansilla de las Mulas. we entered through the historic town center through the old city walls, a reminder of Mancilla's medieval past as a fortified Camino town and an important river crossing. This pilgrim statue here felt especially relatable, capturing that pause, that fatigue, and that quiet companionship of the Camino. Mansilla is surrounded by some of the best preserved medieval walls in the León province, and the town's name, Mansilla de las Mulas, reflects its historic role as a trade and transport hub, where mules once carried goods along major routes before modern roads. We stopped at the Iglesia de Santa Maria, then headed to our hotel, had dinner, and rested up for the next day. Day 26, Mansilla de las Mulas to León. This 18.7-kilometer walk isn't the most scenic stretch of the Camino, but there are still a few points of interest along the way and a big reward at the end. Leaving Mansilla, we looked back at the city walls before crossing the Elsa River. From there, the Camino stays fairly close to the highway. To keep myself entertained, I filmed our shadows moving along walls and buildings as we walked. We passed through Villa Moros, a small agricultural village, and one of the last rural Camino towns before León. At Puente de Villarente, we crossed the Rio Porma, beside a medieval stone bridge that once carried pilgrims, livestock, and trade toward León. Today, the historic bridge supports a modern roadway, while pilgrims cross on a separate footbridge alongside it. After Villarente, the Camino veers right and climbs the Alto de Portillo, the final ascent before descending into León. As we approached Val de la Fuente, we left the traditional Camino route slightly so we could enter town sooner and stop for lunch before the final walk into the city. From Val de la Fuente, there's a gradual uphill before the last stretch into León. Seeing the towers of León Cathedral in the distance was exciting, though they still felt so far away. It took nearly an hour before we passed the old city walls marking León's historic center. León is a lively, elegant city known for its architecture, cafes, and deep Camino routes. We walked past Gaudi's Casa Botines and made our way to the cathedral. León Cathedral, also known as Santa Maria de León, is one of Spain's finest examples of high Gothic architecture. Built primarily in the 13th century on the site of Roman baths and a former royal palace, it's especially famous for its stained glass, more than 1,800 square meters of medieval windows flooding the interior with light. It's often called the House of Light. Beyond the stained glass, the cathedral is filled with Gothic sculpture, carved choir stalls, and devotional images, like the Virgin Blanca, adding layers of meaning for the pilgrim experience. From there, we headed to our home for the night, our big splurge of the trip, the Parador de León, housed in the former monastery of San Marcos.
Hola, day 26, September 29th, we made it to León Parador. We're pretty excited about this for some pampering. It's been a long 20K day thanks to some needless detours. We visited the cathedral a little bit, but it's about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, so we're ready to check in.
Yeah, it's great. Pretty excited to be here. This is going to be one of our highlights, I think, this stay in the Parador. Might be hard to leave tomorrow and go back to albergue life.
Yeah, due to some less than perfect planning, we got our longest day tomorrow, so we got to leave early. But this is the Parador that was in the movie The Way, kind of a comical scene. So we're hoping to have the same kind of experience they did. Buen Camino.
Buen Camino.
After settling into our room, we headed downstairs for a glass of wine, then toured the beautiful property before calling it a day. Totally worth it. Thanks for watching our Slow Camino video. In our next episode, we'll share the walk from León to Astorga, our final days on the Meseta. We're releasing one video a week covering our entire 46-day Camino Francés from Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port. Be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell. And if you're just joining us, the link in the upper right will take you back to days 1 and 2, leaving St. Jean via the Valcarlos route. Until then, buen camino.